Paul Blake, popularly known worldwide as Frankie Paul, was born in Jamaica in 1965. Blake was born blind, but as a child had his sight partially restored by an operation on a hospital ship. He sang for and impressed Stevie Wonder when Wonder visited the school that Blake attended, prompted him to pursue a singing career. Adopting the stage name Frankie Paul, he first found fame in the early 1980s, and he recorded prolifically throughout the decade. He has recorded for virtually every producer/studio in Jamaica at some time, and has been known to release several albums a year. Notable works of Frankie Paul include A Popular Sarah and Worries in the Dance. Paul has resided in the Gambia since 1994. In January 2016, he underwent surgery to amputate a foot and part of his leg. Frankie Paul passed away May 19, 2017. Frankie Paul has a voice that improves with each release, and although initially compared with Dennis Brown, he has evolved a strange nasal throaty styles that makes him sound much older. It is the sheer exuberance of his best performance that give away his youthfulness, and his 2 London appearances have been joyous occasions. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is with deep regret I announce the passing of a legendary, iconic singer, Frankie Paul. Paul Blake, as he was born in 1965, grew up to be this prolific, powerful singer. At times, Dennis Brown and Frankie Paul was like neck and neck. You know, who's the better singer? Is it a Dennis Brown or a Frankie Paul? Because artists like this nature don't come very often, ladies and gentlemen. And Frankie Paul has given us hits after hits. Pass the Ku Shung Peng, pass it over, Sarah, I'm in this eye. And a whole heap of hits, ladies and gentlemen. Frankie Paul did even a trade-off with Frankie Paul meets Barrington Levy. I know you must remember that big famous album, Barrington Levy meets Frankie Paul, you know? And Frankie Paul was one of this great soft-spoken humanitarian that blends in with everybody and just was this nice guy to a lot of people and to a lot of fans worldwide. I personally certainly going to miss him, because I remember the days as a young man watching the great Frankie Paul, watching Dennis Brown, you know, watching artists like that, you know what I mean, doing their thing, ladies and gentlemen, and not just doing it with class and substance and professionalism and everything. I had the honor of recording Frankie Paul. I have 2 big songs, ladies and gentlemen, that Frankie did for me back in the 90s. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm definitely going to be working on this now, because I want the music, the sweetness of a Frankie Paul. A Frankie Paul that can sing 4 different sets of harmonies. You know, he'll sing the first and he put a second voice to it, then there's a third, and Frankie listened and said, Big Stone, it want 1 more voice. That's the kind of perfectionist Frankie Paul was. Frankie Paul could hear a half key note. To my personal experience with Frankie, I think he had perfect pitch. You know, only the likes of a Lukie D I can see, and a Triller U that I've known that can sing harmony and sing it with high impact. You know, and I know they must have patterned off of the great Frankie Paul. So Frankie, we know you were sick, and this past year was a little bit rough, ladies and gentlemen, for Frankie. He lost a leg. His leg was amputated, but that didn't stop the driving force in Frankie. Still doing his dubs, still doing show, even though they had to wheel him on a wheelchair, but he was still there, even to the last, because he loved what he did. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I know he died loving music. So all of Jamaica, I know we must come together at this time and mourn the loss of yet another icon. Last week we lost Bonnie from the famous group Bonnie and Scully, and a couple of months before that we had lost Scully. So we're losing our icon, ladies and gentlemen, and that is why again we call upon the government to secure whatever they have up here, not just their music, but let their works be like an institution to be taught to these younger artists coming up. You know, they should know how to go to school and read about a great Frankie Paul. Go to school and read up who was Dennis Brown. Go to school and read up who was so and so and so and so. You know what I mean? That cultural aspect of our lives, ladies and gentlemen, should now be practiced earnestly and bring back that sweetness, that cultural, that niceness that we grew up with in Jamaica. Bring it forward because we need it. So, the Honorable Frankie Paul, I love you, my brother. I love your music. Thank you very much for giving us great music, Frankie. You know, thank you very much, my brother. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. This is just my personal intake of announcing the passing of an icon. And we surely going to miss him. I do. Thank you very much for watching. And have a great day. Thank you.